It was truly an honor to have on my cousin and friend Carter Smith, who shared his story about overcoming the challenge of being born without his right hand to go on and pitch collegiately for a Division I program and leave a lasting legacy with the University of Tennessee Martin Skyhawks. I've long known that Carter's story of inspiration, courage, and determination could be uplifting for anyone, but I'd never had him on, so it was a thrill, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. We do want to give a shout out because your wife, Sam, is on the front line. She works at Children's Hospital in St. Louis, and I'll tell you, our healthcare workers and people who are doing the hard work right now and all of that, like, we can't say thank you enough. So big shout out to Sam.
Yeah, definitely. She's a trooper, and all the healthcare workers are doing a great job. And yeah, it's interesting times, and we're all praying for him and thinking about him.
Plus, she puts up with you. So
I know that's probably the hardest part.
So let's just delve right into it. You were born without your right hand, and I guess, is there an official medical term for it, or is there because we do have something in our family, I believe, on our on one side where
Right.
some limbs do not entirely come at birth, and so is that affiliated? I really don't know this, so I ask in advance. I apologize in advance for
No,
being
that's
naive.
fine. Yeah, and honestly, I really don't know that answer. I mean, it's a deformity, and I don't know if it's genetically related or just by chance, but so I don't have a complete right hand. I still have a right arm. I have like one finger on my right hand, and my arm, is a little smaller and shorter than my left hand. But yeah, so it's, I was born with it like that. So it's, natural to me. That's how I've kind of grown up and just learned to adjust, really just, and, make adjustments as need be.
Do you recall any therapy or anything that they had you do at a young age to try to make sure that arm was as productive as possible? Or did they think, well, because he's so young, he's going to have to learn how to adapt to utilize his right arm without a hand, and he'll just be like a born natural at it?
Yeah, I don't really recall any therapy. I do. So looking back at baby pictures, I mean, this was a while back, I saw where I had almost like a prosthetic hand on in one of the pictures, and I was, confused, and, so I don't remember it, but I guess at one point they must have tried or just kind of see how it fit and how it worked. But to me, I think it was more, it's natural to him. That's, so he's going to grow up learning how to do everything that way. So there's no point in trying to force something. But yeah, no big therapy or anything like that.
And baseball was a part of our childhood. I think back of our summers where we would literally spend, if it wasn't raining, almost every single day outside in one of several different backyards playing some form of baseball. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were never limited by this idea that you did not have a right hand. In fact, I don't even know, how you got so good at it, but when you look at everything, I mean, you went the furthest of just about anybody in the family when it comes to playing a college sport, and it's a pretty extensive one side. But really, it is pretty amazing what you were able to accomplish there despite all of the limitations. But you didn't see it as a limitation.
Right. No, yeah, I never did. And I think a lot of that's due to a good support group with, friends and family and, coaches and people that always just encouraged and supported me. Like you said, we grew up playing baseball every single day, and during the summers we'd wake up in the morning and we'd go out and play all in the backyard with either a tennis ball or a wiffle ball, and then once it got dark, we were coming in and playing downstairs, and we kind of made our own game down there. So to me, it was just, I think part of the success just the constant repetition and just the passion we had for it, and so you're something you're doing every single day, and so it kind of came natural as far as learning to switch the ball from the glove to the hand, and stuff like that I never really had to practice because, you're doing it every single day and you're doing it 100, 300 times a day. So yeah, definitely a lot of repetition, but also, some great support from friends and family and teammates and coaches that, never saw it as a limitation either.
What is the process that you go through? Because you pitched collegiately at Tennessee Martin, had a tremendous career, in fact, led several statistical categories in the Ohio Valley Conference. But give us the process of you going through your mechanics and your delivery to the plate. Left-handed pitcher.
Yeah. So I'd come set basically with my glove. I'd have a trapeze web, so I could fit my my finger into the glove, like from the underside. So my right hand would come up through the web. So I'd kind of hold the ball inside the glove, but, the glove wasn't really on my hand. I'd go through my delivery. So then as my right arm, your right arm comes down as you're pitching, as you're following through. So as my right arm would come down, it'd kind of leave the actual glove opening for my left hand to come in as I'm following through. So once I finished the follow through, the glove would fit, on my left hand. So I wore a glove that would actually be for a right-handed pitcher, because you're catching with your left hand. So I pitched with that glove, and then I actually had a little different process once, say I'm wearing the glove on my left hand, and then I got the ball. So I'd catch the ball, and I'd kind of put the glove up to my chest, use my right arm to pull from the top of the web and, open up. So the ball would kind of just gravity would obviously fall, bring the ball out of the glove, and I'd just catch it and throw it. And it's kind of hard to explain in person, but, I got pretty good at it, and I could do it pretty quickly, and kind of one of those things you just have to see to understand.
I mean, it is seamless because I've seen it 1,000 times, and it's remarkable. Like, it's faster, I think, than some people might even be able to do with two hands. Just your ability to transition and be in a defensive position ready to catch a comeback or something of that nature. And I would almost guess that it made you a better defensive pitcher because you had to go through those steps and put yourself in that defensive position.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. So it was a big focus, and sometimes it kind of, mess with your head. You'd be worried about, making sure you had your glove on in time. But no, as long as I trusted the process, and, I was quick, and I could, like you said, I could do it quicker than probably some people can do their normal exchange. But yeah, so it kind of get me in that defensive position, ready to field a ball. And, I would have a lot of people ask, how long did it take you to learn that, or, stuff like that. But again, I'm doing it every single time I'm playing catch. I'm doing that, that switch, that transition. So, I mean, you think about it, just in a college season, you're playing pretty much 7 days a week, playing catch, warming up, all this stuff. So, I mean, just the tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of times that I've done it. So that's how, it kind of became so seamless and such a smooth transition.
I want to give a shout out here to your parents, Julie and Larry Smith. We're talking with Carter Smith. He is my cousin on my mom's side. And your dad is such an outside-the-box thinker. And immediately he looks at somebody like a Jim Abbott, okay? Jim Abbott, Major League pitcher. He threw a no-hitter. He won 87 games in the big leagues. He, too, was born without a right hand. And so what does your dad, Larry, do? He takes you to Busch Stadium. In the 90s, you're a kid. You had an opportunity to not only see Jim Abbott, but didn't you meet him?
Yeah, so I got to go see him. I don't believe I ever met him. So I did get some memorabilia from him, actually, which is a different story. But so, yeah, my dad, got tickets to the game that Jim Abbott was starting. So we drove down, and, he bought me an Angels hat. I was obviously a Cardinals fan, but it was really cool to see, and just kind of see someone who, had a similar situation that I was in, that was at, they're at the top level, being successful, throwing no hitters and, pitching the major leagues. And you see that, and it really just opens your eyes. And, it's like, if he can do it, why can't I? Really just a big motivating factor for me, and really cool to see. And then, so I did get some memorabilia. So I was actually up in Michigan, which is, I believe, where Jim Abbott's from. And this was when I was probably in middle school probably middle school. And one of the umpires of the game I was pitching actually knew Jim Abbott personally. So the next day is a tournament. So the next day he comes and he finds out, where we're playing, and he brings me, a signed ball and a signed picture. So that's, a really cool, neat gesture, just to, someone reaching out and doing the stuff like that. So he was definitely an inspiration to me. And like you said, shout out to my parents for, both of them being just so supportive and, never telling me I couldn't do something or, limiting what I wanted to do. If I set my mind to it, they're 100% in support. So it's definitely great.
And, at that age, like, you're so young, no one could project that you were going to grow up to be a D1 collegiate left-handed pitcher. But it was probably more like, hey, look at what this guy can do with his limitation, and not even limitation, just with what he's got. Because I'm sure it had to be tough, like in school. Now, I'll be honest, Carter's a pretty cool cat, so this really isn't a big problem. But inevitably, you're going to go through some sort of process where kids are like, man, what, he doesn't have his right hand. So now, I don't want to say bullying, but there is probably some adversity and a challenge that you had to face. But when you see a guy who's out there pitching in the big leagues, that's got to give you some courage to be like, well, the hell with those people. I'm fine.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And thankfully, no, I wasn't really bullied for it. Growing up, like I said, I had a great support group and some awesome friends. and family. But yeah, you definitely, especially kids, they stare and you get a lot of looks. And I remember a lot of times warming up, like in a bowl, like warming up somewhere for a game, and people come by and just like watch and stare. So, and that there's obviously some adversity there, and some you get self-conscious and you start worrying, and a lot of that stuff that you kind of have to that any really teenager or elementary or middle school kid goes through. But it's kind of a little extra level of insecurity there, I guess, and that's kind of something that you just work through. And but yeah, just to see Jim Abbott at the top level doing that was definitely like you said, an inspiration and kind of motivation. Not only just to be a major league pitcher, but really just to, hey, what I want to do in life, I got to go out and make the most of my situation, and I can accomplish anything that I set my mind to.
How many guys tried to bunt on you only to find that was really not a way to get on base against Carter Smith?
Yeah, there is a decent amount. And actually, so there's a few times in high school where it happened, and I remember a few times in college, and really, I mean, it wouldn't happen much after that because I'd usually get them out. So to me, I kind of welcomed it. I was like, hey, if you guys want to try to bunt, and I mean, personally, I think like you said, I can feel just as good or better than a lot of pitchers. So I kind of welcomed it as an easy out. But yeah, it definitely happened, a few times. But like I said, I got most of the guys out, so it wasn't really a recurring theme.
What was the story about in the summer league game? Because Paul DeYoung has told me this, and you told me this too. DeYoung was catching, and it was the final out to win the summer league, right? I mean, and they tried.
Yeah. So yeah, it was the home opener. So. It was so I played with Paul DeYoung for the Will County Cracker Jacks. It was I think the Midwest Collegiate League was the name of the. So for those that don't know, when you play college baseball, there's every summer and you don't really get a summer break. You go and you play in a wood bat league, and it's kind of as a way to keep playing, and you meet obviously players from other teams and stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun. It's a really cool experience. So Paul and I were on the same team, and Paul was actually a catcher back then. And so it's the home opener where it's an away game. So it's, we don't really know any of the guys yet on our team or the other teams. And there's a decent sized crowd, maybe 500-600 people, for a summer game, which is pretty good. And I'm pitching. It's the bottom of the ninth. I actually come in to close the game. I think we were up by 1, and at some point there's a guy at third with 2 outs. So, I'm pitching, and the guy tries to steal home so I threw a pitch to Paul, and he gets up and throws it back, and that's when the guy from third took off trying to steal home, I guess, thinking that I wouldn't be able to switch the ball to the glove quick enough. But no, I made the transition pretty easy, and we got him out by a couple of feet. So it's fun to think back at things like that, and it's cool obviously now that Paul's a big league star. It's kind of a fun story that both of us are able to tell.
When Paul was here, first of all, Paul is just like a very down-to-earth, pretty awesome guy. And when I told him that you were my cousin, that kind of like changed our relationship. He was more willing to do a pregame interview. He was more willing to do just about anything. He was like, "You're Carter's cousin? That guy was awesome." And he told me that story immediately about the guy trying to steal home, and you threw him out. And that's just classic. And Paulie D's the man.
It was fun to play with him, and obviously I didn't think he'd rise to that level of success. So it's really cool to see. And he was, such a great guy. And the one story I will tell about Paul, which I remember, there's a lot of talented guys that I played with. And so I never really thought him of all people would, make it to the big leagues or, have the success he's had. But there's one game where you're playing, and, this is a wood bat league. So it's, there's not as many home runs, and obviously it's more of a pitcher-dominated league because you come from, the hitters have been using metal all season. Now they come in swinging wood, which is heavier, and, the barrel's smaller, and the ball doesn't travel as far. But there's one game where Paul, he just crushed a home run. It had to be 450 feet. My jaw just dropped. I'd never seen, someone hit a ball that far. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, this guy's got a lot of power. But, still didn't think anything of it. And then 3-4 years later, I see he's leading the Missouri Valley in home runs, RBIs, average. I was like, dang, he's doing pretty good. And he gets drafted. And it's been cool to follow him. And it's cool that, he went through Springfield when you were there and you guys got to meet. So it's a nice story.
So they have a tracker boat at Hammons Field where the Springfield Cardinals play. And it's right center field. And, it's all the way up the berm. It's a pretty tough place to hit a bomb. To this day, DeYoung is the only person I've seen it hit. It's probably the deepest part of the ballpark. I think he cleared the tracker boat. He's just got I think Edmund said it last year, he's just wiry strong. He's got tremendous skill set. And the fact that he's an all-star shortstop. You knew him when he was a catcher.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest shock to me when I saw. I think they moved him to third base, maybe at Illinois State, and then I mean to see him go to like the third base and the shortstop, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm picturing him as my catcher, and but yeah, it's what a transition, and yeah, it's sweet that all-star shortstop. That's pretty cool to say.
So you chose Tennessee Martin. What led to that decision? And didn't you go through a coaching change there too, or somebody take over? Give us the background on that.
Yeah, so I went to Tennessee Martin. So there's someone, I went to Parkway West High School, and a good friend of mine, his name is Dan Tobick. He was 2 years older than I was, so obviously I knew him from baseball and playing high school baseball. So he ended up going there on a scholarship, and he pitched there, and he really liked it. And my senior year, I was getting some looks from some colleges, and one of them happened to be Tennessee Martin. So Dan's like, hey, why don't you come down and stay a weekend with me, and you get to meet some of the guys, and I got to meet all the coaches, and I just went there, and it was a great fit. Really bonded well with all the players and the coaches there. So I made my decision, and that's how I ended up there. And yeah, there was let's see, I went through 3 head coaches and 3 or 4 pitching coaches. So there's a lot of turmoil and switching up while I was there, which is obviously tough. We didn't have the best record. We weren't the best team, but still, it was a ton of fun, and I don't have any regrets about going there. And I think to me, the best part is just the relationships you form when you play, and some of my best friends obviously come from my 4 years there, and people I still talk to daily. So it's definitely a good fit for me.
Yeah, I'm sure I met a few of them at your wedding several years ago. I wish I could remember that more vividly, but we won't go into that. You were voted, though, team captain, right, of that team, and how gratifying that must have felt.
Yeah, no, that was definitely one of the best moments of my playing career, is just being voted by the players too. And that's the cool part, is the guys obviously look up to you and have trust you to be the team captain and make the decisions, and it just shows that they think a lot of you. So that was I try to be an example, whether on or off the field, and that kind of validated that.
So what'd you throw? You threw a fastball, you had a slider, and your ability to mix speeds as a left-hander, it's so vital. I mean, Greg Maddux made a living on it as a right-hander, and sometimes I ask different analytics people now and then, like, would Greg Maddux even get scouted in 2020? It concerns me, but mixing speeds and changing the eye level of hitters is still a very effective way to get outs in baseball.
Sure, yeah. So, I wasn't much of a power pitcher. I mean, my fastball was 84 to probably top out at 87, but consistently I was usually 84, 86, almost on the dot. So I threw a fastball. I just threw a regular 4-seam fastball, change up, which was okay. If I could throw it for a strike, it was pretty effective, but I couldn't control it as much as I'd hoped to. And then I had a 12-6 curveball, and then a slider as well to go along with that. But yeah, like you said, it's a little different when you just can't power past people, which is kind of the direction that the game's going today. But when there's a lot more strategy, when you have to mix pitches, mix eye levels, work on one pitch to set up the next pitch, stuff like that. So that's one thing I really enjoyed about pitching, definitely.
Where was your favorite place to play?
In the Ohio Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Belmont had a pretty nice field, and kind of overlooked. You could see the Nashville skyline in the background, which was pretty cool. Other than that, I mean, all of them were pretty similar. Our field was nice. I liked our field. All the fields now are switching over to turf, which not a huge fan of. So we had the nice grass and the dirt infield and everything. So it kind of felt like real baseball. But outside of OVC, we'd play at Vanderbilt and Ole Miss every year, which was always really cool. We'd show up for a midweek game. They'd kick our butts, feed us, and send us home. But it's definitely a cool experience to play there. So those are probably the top 2 fields.
Heck yeah. I mean, just to see, watching how the better half lives.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'd roll up on the West Tennessee motor coach, like crammed, 45 people deep, and then you'd see their buses where they have like sleeping cabins, and they're traveling by plane a lot of times. Like, man, that must be nice.
Yeah, the good life. Well, I'll tell you, what, still, to be a collegiate athlete at any level is super impressive. I worked or broadcasted now with collegiate sports, like the investment that it requires to be successful and the dedication when, a lot of people, it's kind of like the time of your life, right? You're 20, 21 years old, you're growing up, but you're also, expected to be almost a mature adult. Like, it's not easy to be a college athlete.
No, yeah. I mean, just the time commitment alone was just enormous. And obviously, seeing it, but we'd practice 6 days a week. We'd get 1 day off. And then, that's on top of, going to school for 3-4 hours. Also, there's tons of travel, especially for baseball and basketball, where, you have midweek games. So you're traveling, leaving maybe Tuesday at 10 a.m. So you're missing class, and you got a game Tuesday night. And come back, after the game, and you get home at 2 a.m. and then you got to go up, wake up the next day for an 8 a.m. class, and and then you still got practice after that, and so it's exhausting, and it's a ton of fun though, and yeah, it's definitely a huge commitment, and it is interesting because there's a lot of your friends are out, kind of living it up, and you're out waking up at 5:30 for a 6 a.m. workout, so sometimes it'd be tough, but it was a ton of fun.
So when you were getting all the media coverage, I mean, it blew up. There was an article, USA Today, New York Post, like a lot of different affiliates kind of picked up this story. What was that like? I mean, it had to be kind of crazy to see your story just almost go viral across the web.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I probably had 4 or 5 people come interview me, or either do a written story, or there's a few actual news stories with cameras. But yeah, no, it was cool, and obviously my teammates like to mess with me about it, like call me Big Shot and stuff like that. So it was fun, and we all had fun with it. But it was cool to see, and just definitely something I enjoyed.
When you look back on your baseball career and just how fulfilling it was, what kind of stands out in your mind?
Yeah, I definitely kind of I spoke on earlier, just the friendships that I built, and obviously once you're done playing, I've been done for 5 years. You don't really remember, at least I don't, specific game. You remember parts of them, but you don't remember, your stats or your record or this or that. But, you remember the memories you made with your good friends and, lifelong friends that you stay in touch with. There's some I talk to every single day. So that's definitely, to me, my greatest takeaway.
So you've got a baby boy, Jackson, who is 10 months. Is he? Do we know yet if he's the next left-handed, phenom?
I don't know. So he'll pick up a ball with both hands and he'll throw it. So he's about a month ago he started throwing things. So he's right now he could be one of those that wears the special glove where he can pitch lefty and righty. But no, yeah, he's a ton of fun, and it's awesome to watch him kind of grow up, and just watch him learn different things like grabbing a ball and throwing it, and we're having a ton of fun raising. That's for sure.
That is wild. And you've stayed in the game, sort of connected via your new profession, which is with Rawlings, and I know you've enjoyed your time kind of growing with that company.
Yeah, sure. So I've been at Rawlings for about 5 years now, and it was kind of a natural transition. So I went, did an internship, the River City Rascals, who was a semi-professional team here in St. Louis, and then Rawlings had an opening in customer service, so I started there, and was there for 2 years and worked in our pro department for about a year, and now I'm doing licensed products. So pretty much anything that you can slap a logo on, we have a division for that, and it's cool staying connected with not only baseball but all sports, doing licensed products. So it's a ton of fun. It's it's a sports atmosphere too, which is great. So everyone kind of has that passion. So yeah, it's a good place to be.
Sometimes when you process an order and a big name slides across your desk on one of those, is it like, oh my gosh, this guy, he's a perennial all-star, he's going to potentially be a Hall of Famer, and here you are looking at his custom-made glove or whatever it is for Rawlings.
Yeah. So like I said, I was in the pro department for a year, so we'd handle every single custom glove that came through, for everyone that's a Rawlings player, which there's a ton of big name Rawlings guys, and so we'd actually order them and we'd ship them to our warehouse because before spring training, and obviously the goal was to have the players' gloves sitting, in their locker, like first day of spring training. And obviously there's a lot of free agents and, there's trades. So we'd usually ship them to our warehouse and sort them and then ship them out to the spring training facility. So it's cool to go down there and, you'd see any Verlander or anyone that you can, the big Rawlings guys, Machado, Seager, and all the gold, Molina, you get the gold glove patches that it was definitely cool. It was fun to do that for sure.
It's always good to know a glove guy, and I can guarantee you that there are a few Shipley boys and Wheeler boys who have benefited from what I still think is the best glove. I mean, if you're learning baseball, what better than to start out with a Rawlings ball glove? Yeah,
no, definitely. It's best in the business. And, starting this year, we're actually the official glove of Major League Baseball. So, most people already thought we were, but we're the official ball and helmet prior to this year. And this year we picked up the official glove of Major League Baseball, which is, a pretty cool thing to add. We have, over 50% of the All-Stars year over year are wearing Rawlings gloves. And yeah, definitely a lot of family members have benefited for sure. So that's always fun to, get the little guys their first glove, and definitely make sure it's a Rawlings one.
Rawlings also has some pretty sweet tickets at Busch Stadium that you've treated me to along that first base side. I think that's the closest I've ever sit to the Cardinals dugout ever.
Yeah. We got the season tickets. So every now and then, I'll get lucky and they won't be used. And your name gets drawn. So you are also the benefit of that as well. So it's cool. They have the season tickets for that, and then also Blues season tickets, which I've gone to maybe once or twice. So it's fun, obviously just being in that sports world. Working in the licensing, I work with the NHL too. So my boss took me to it was Game 4 of the Stanley Cup here in St. Louis, the game they won. So, that was pretty cool, going with some people from the NHL and having great seats, and, just something like that, I'll never most likely get to do again. So definitely has its benefits working in sports for sure.
I would just I'll close with this, Carter, and literally thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I think, especially like right now, everybody's looking for kind of some encouragement, and this certainly fits the bill. But what would you say to somebody who's out there listening who's maybe been told by their high school coach that they're not big enough, or that they don't swing hard enough, or this, that, or the other? Constant detractors. I think you're a prime example of somebody, if you do the hard work and you put in the extra time, you can take those odds and completely change them in your favor.
Sure. No, yeah, I agree. Like you said, don't let one person's opinion or negative views from, people or one person determine, your outcome. You're in charge. You're kind of the master of your fate, as some people say. So try not to be discouraged by it. Make that your motivating factor. Work harder. You can really control the outcome. And then also, some advice would be, mentally sometimes their biggest enemies, between the ears. And I know for me, that was sometimes the case, on the mound. So also, work on being good to yourself, and, trust your process, and trust the fact that, have confidence, have faith in yourself and the people around you. So that'd be, I guess, my one piece of advice.
Yeah, you hit on something there too, though. Faith. You are a deep man of faith, and certainly I would think that you relied on that incredibly as your sort of story unraveled.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's, like we talked about, there's some hard times, and definitely leaned on God and my faith in Christ to get me through that. And then also, gave me, a purpose for why I was doing what I'm doing. And, I didn't find my identity in being a baseball player, which, that was something that I was, but it wasn't, my whole world wasn't wrapped up in that. And so that was something, faith was very important to me, kind of kept me grounded. And it was really, the reason for not getting caught up in some of the worldly views of success and stuff like that.
Carter Smith, you're an inspiration not only to, our family, but I think for so many who go through difficult things, whatever it might be, this can be a ray of light for anyone. So your story is incredible. I can't believe that I never came and watched you pitch. I can't believe that I've never had you on my show before, but we're putting that to rest. I'm lucky to call you a friend and a cousin, and I still know how to get you out, though. Believe me, that up and in, I can get you to just pop it up, okay? I still think I could toss that tennis ball and get you to pop up.
Well, I never claimed to be much of a hitter, but yeah, so no, really, thanks for having me. It was great to be on the show, and like I said, I enjoy listening to you guys, and it's not just because you're my cousin. I think you do a great job, and really some great sports minds over there. So keep up the good work, and hopefully I'll see you sooner than later. Who knows, though, with the craziness.
It is. Well, all the best to you and Sam and Jackson, and when it is safe, can't wait to see the little guy and share some more memories together.
Yep, sounds good, Nate. Take care.
Appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning into the Sports Report on JOCK 98.7. Catch us every weekday, live from 9 to 11 a.m. Be sure to like the JOCK 98.7 on Facebook and follow me on Twitter at NLucas0.